Good morning. We're glad that you've joined us today for session 2 on 3 separate questions that need to be asked today. I'm joined by Branton Burleson, the pastor of Grace Baptist Church in the West Asheville community. So the 3 questions we want him to give us some insight as to how he is feeling in his context would be these: social distancing during worship, Sunday school opportunities, our small group opportunities, what he sees ahead, as well as music ministry, whether it's praise teams or choirs. So, Branton, share with us an idea or something that you and your staff have discussed concerning social distancing when you're able to gather again in worship.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We don't know when we will be able to gather in those types of numbers again. As in our phased approach, we had a preliminary phase 4 where we're talking about what that would look like, and in some ways it's so far off we find it difficult to know what we'll do yet. But assuming that we can gather in larger numbers, at that point I imagine we'll still be having folks encouraging them to wear masks potentially, to space them as far apart as possible, yet putting couples and family units together who live with one another as close together as possible, and then space them out from other folks that are not in their household.
Okay, thank you. Sunday school, that's the big question mark too. So small groups as far as social distancing there. Have your team given any thought to that?
Yeah, so I think with Sunday school, there's a couple things that can be done. One is we can encourage our classes, our teachers to utilize platforms like Zoom if this goes on for a number of months. We have the capability to do that, and we can add hosts to that. If some of those teachers want to get creative and utilize their own home, or if they want to use their classroom and they can reasonably distance in the classroom, we would of course welcome them to do that. And we don't yet have a small group structure, but this is actually a season where we hope that we can use this time to implement small groups in our church and get folks used to that, comfortable with that, and then continue that even when things normalize.
Okay. Just off the cuff, I see the greatest issue with that coming with children. I think adults, responsible adults, will practice the best that we can social distancing, but children and nursery age children in particular, I see that's going to be a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about music ministry? Any thoughts to anything, any changes or adjustments that have to be made when we go back?
Yeah, I think where we're at right now is we're probably going to utilize small numbers of folks on the platform, for music and praise team type things. Probably a couple of musicians rotating different guitarists, organists, pianists, and keeping maybe 3 or 4 at most available for those things. I'm not sure that because of issues with space that our choir can gather as they have been, or I don't know if they'll be comfortable doing so. And so those are ongoing discussions as well. But I think for right now we may need to suspend that until we can normalize that again.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for joining us for session 2, and we hope you'll join us tomorrow. We're looking at the challenges that all of our churches will face in reopening or relaunching as soon as we're given the go-ahead to gather again. I'm interested in the perspective and the thoughts of our pastors around the county. And so joining me today for session 2 on Tuesday, May the 5th, is Clark Henderson, the pastor of New Bridge Baptist Church in North Asheville. So Clark, share a word with us concerning how your leadership team has thought about handling the distance during worship.
And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and the fact that we were trying to figure out how we can best meet together and still make sure that people are safe. Half our congregation is over the age of 65, and we need to make sure they're safe. We need to look out for them as well. So, as I said in the sanctuary, we would repurpose our sanctuary with clearly marked places for family groups to come to worship and still be able to social distance. In Sunday school classes, in the same way, we will, a Sunday school class that could hold 40, maybe hold 12 now. And so what we may have to start doing is planning our Sunday school classes at other times and stagger meetings together. Many of our classes now are going through Zoom online. Many of our classes, especially some of the older classes that have their quarterly with them, our Sunday school teacher will call them on the phone and pick a night and call a few people and discuss the class study of the day, and then encourage them to read the next one, and they'll just make a loop going around for the whole week. So we have to be creative. We don't certainly have all the answers, but I do believe when we go forward with these small groups that God will provide a way.
Any way you look at it, it's going to have to be adjusted, isn't it?
That's right.
What about music ministry?
Well, now there's another tough one. For the time being, we're doing drive-in services, and of course, we're social distancing there, which still only allows for like 4 or 5 or 6 folks up on the flatbed trailer, or in this sanctuary up on the stage. Talking with our worship leaders, even the choir, you're reducing a 25 to 35 member choir down to 6 or 8 people. So I think for the short term, we're going to have to look at rotating singers through and providing worship that feeds not only the young but the older alike, and just trying to do the best we can. You know, the important thing is that God knows the heart, and He's going to honor that. So we'll just do the best we can on that.
That's right. Thank you, Clark. And joining me today is Lonnie Ray, the senior pastor of Gracie Branch Baptist Church on the east side of Buncombe County. So we're just reviewing some questions that we're all confronted with, and our answers could be much different according to our context. Lonnie, talk to us about how you would perceive or direct the social distancing during the worship time.
Yeah, so in our particular context, the way our auditorium is designed is kind of a fan look. And so it's going to be really easy for us to have folks come in and be able to get spread out really, really easy. And we're going to take the 2 end wings and make these available to our senior adults who are a little further away and who can spread out a little bit further and be less vulnerable.
Okay.
And those 2 wings have access anyway from outside doors coming in from the main hallways. So this will give them a little more freedom, I think, to be able to enjoy the service and not feel like somebody's on top of them in those areas.
So designated seating for seniors with the ability to spread out a little further so that social distancing takes place.
Yeah.
Great, okay. Restricted numbers, we don't know what that number will be yet, I'm sorry. You know, that's going to lead to how we social distance, I guess. Let's talk about small groups. Sunday school, small groups. What do you perceive there in your context?
Sunday school we're in the process of building that anyway. So Sunday school is one of those things where we're at a new phase. So we're kind of in a challenge mode right now with that because of some of the older folks who are already in Sunday school who do not have the availability to watch things online. So this is going to be our next big challenge. How do we tackle this? Again, tonight when we meet with all of our leaders, I'm going to be posing several ideas for us on how to do that. And it may be that we'll start out with actual smaller groups Sunday evenings so that people can come in these Sunday school kind of group meetings in smaller settings so that we can start the process of getting people back into those groups.
Great. And I'm hearing too that the possibility of some seniors not returning immediately is there. They have to have a higher comfort level, especially if they're in the category of being vulnerable. Choirs, church ministries, or church music ministries, what do you perceive there? Any change for Gracie Branch?
Yeah, there's going to be a big change there. So choir is a main part of our services every single week, and it will be hugely missed. But because of the being able to be together close in practices, it's just not going to be a good thing for us. So we're going to have to dismiss that part of it. But we do have a great worship team and a band, and so we'll utilize these guys, and they can still practice and be spread apart a little bit, and that not be a problem in days ahead. So I see this is going to be an opportunity to introduce some things in worship that we haven't done in the past. So more scripture reading, more testimony opportunities, more video clips, just different elements to really make the service feel more full and more alive, and just implementing some new ideas there.
Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you for joining us today on Tuesday, May the 5th. Lonnie and I will continue discussion around 3 different questions tomorrow on Wednesday, May the 6th. Join us then.